Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we plunge into a whole stack of sources, articles, research, our own notes, and really pull out those, pure nuggets of knowledge you need.
The good stuff.
Exactly. And today we're descending deep into the narrative layers of, well, a true global phenomenon, a series that just completely took the world by storm, changed how we see survival thrillers. We are, of course, talking about Squid Game. This show, it didn't just entertain. It twisted kids' games into actual nightmares, gripped everyone.
It really is remarkable when you think about it, how Squid Game just transcended the usual survival thriller thing right from the start.
Yeah.
Its narrative power isn't just the high stakes, which are, sky high. It's how it used those stakes to dig into some really profound human and societal questions. It's like a masterclass in building a story that resonates way beyond the basic premise. Really clever weaving of social commentary into just, well, a thrilling plot.
Absolutely spot on. And our mission today really is to track Squid Game's incredible story arc. We're starting right at the beginning, those shocking origins in Seoul.
Right.
Then we'll follow it through 3 seasons of escalating stakes, deeper themes, and then brace yourselves because we're going to dissect its completely unexpected new path.
The U.S. move.
The U.S. move. This surprising journey for the games themselves. We're not just recapping what happened. We want to unpack how the story was told so incredibly well.
The craft behind it.
Exactly. The storytelling choices that made it a global hit and why it still captivates millions. So yeah, consider this your invitation. Let's play. Let's start this deep dive.
Okay.
Okay. So to really get how Squid Game grabbed the world, we have to rewind to 2021. It's Genesis. Picture it. The world was already kind of grappling with things, and then the show just drops. And it pulls us into this, brutal universe. We meet Song Gi-hun, he's our way in, and he feels instantly relatable, right, in his desperation.
Yeah, completely.
A broke gambler, buried in debt, failing his family, just scraping by. And the hook for him and for us is immediate. It's brutal, simple.
Yeah, effectively simple.
Lured into this mysterious game seems like an escape, but the rule, it just sends shivers down your spine. Win or die trying.
Star.
No negotiation, no middle ground, just win or total annihilation. That initial setup, it's just storytelling efficiency at its best. Throws you right in. Makes you watch.
And it's fascinating how that simple premise, win or die, just immediately jacks up the stakes to the absolute maximum.
Right.
And it forces us, the audience, into this constant state of weighing moral dilemmas. From a storytelling angle, such a powerful, universal way in. Everyone gets desperation. Everyone gets that basic survival instinct. And by using these familiar, almost innocent kids' games, but with deadly results.
Yeah.
The creators just hit this unique narrative tension straight away.
Yeah, the contrast is jarring.
Exactly. It's not just about who survives. It's about what they'll do to survive and what that reveals about humanity under extreme pressure. That choice draws you in because the themes are universal. Desperation, survival, makes the specific Korean context, while important, secondary to that raw human struggle.
And the way the games themselves function as narrative beats.
Yeah.
Just expertly handled. It kicks off with red light, green light. Terrifying, simple, shocking death toll right away.
Sets the tone immediately. No messing around.
None. Then it moves through, one Korean children's game after another.
Yeah.
The delicate cutting of the dalgona honeycomb.
Nail biting.
The sheer brute force of tug of war. The psychological nightmare of the glass bridge, all leading up to that final titular Squid Game showdown.
Each one ups the ante.
Right. But what's so smart narratively is that each game isn't just an obstacle. It's like a mini thriller in itself, a self-contained dramatic unit.
Yeah.
Designed to build tension, sure, but also to reveal character. Each game strips away another layer, shows true colors, alliances, betrayals, breaking points.
You see people twisted by desperation.
Yeah, but you also see these little glimmers of humanity, don't you? And then they often get tragically snuffed out. It's just this relentless, character-revealing gauntlet. Constantly makes you reassess who these people are.
You really hit on something crucial there, the technical execution.
Yeah.
Using familiar kids' games with deadly stakes.
Yeah.
It's incredibly effective storytelling because it's pure narrative subversion.
Misversion, yeah, that's the word.
It creates instant recognition, maybe even nostalgia for some viewers. And then that feeling is just violently undercut by the reality of the game. And that subversion, that contrast, It's key. It keeps you off balance, totally engaged. It takes our understanding of these simple games and just twists it into something horrifying.
Amplifies the shock value.
Absolutely. It makes the violence, the moral compromises, even more unsettling because they're happening in this, like, seemingly innocent frame. It's a brilliant way to establish the show's unique tone and its critique of society, that dark side of competition and desperation.
Yeah.
Each game is like a little crucible for human nature.
And beyond just the terrifying game mechanics, Season 1 was just brilliant at layering in the thematic storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
This wasn't just survival porn, right? It was this razor-sharp commentary on capitalism, on desperation, the price of human dignity in a system that values profit over life.
Absolutely.
And the narrative didn't just tell us this, it showed us. Through specific gut-wrenching moments. I mean, think about Ollie's betrayal by Sang-woo in the marbles game.
Oh, brutal. Just devastating.
Gosh, it revealed that depth of human treachery born from desperation, but also highlighted Ollie's, trusting nature. So pure.
Yeah.
Or the way the guards just recycle the organs of dead players, literally turning bodies into commodities, underlining the dehumanizing aspect.
Chilling detail.
And of course, that doll. The iconic, terrifying doll with the motion-sensing eyes in episode 1. That single image immediately set the tone, the stakes, showed the cold, simple brutality of it all. These weren't just plot points. They were powerful narrative punches driving home those themes, making them feel real, visceral.
And this brings up an important question, doesn't it? About how effective narratives achieve that kind of thematic depth. The show doesn't just present the themes, it forces you, the audience, to confront them directly. Through the characters' stark choices, the brutal consequences.
Puts you in their shoes.
It asks you, what would you do? Would you betray a friend? Sacrifice someone else? By focusing on these impossible dilemmas, the storytelling makes the commentary on capitalism and dignity feel deeply personal, not just intellectual.
Right.
It's a powerful way to engage people beyond just entertainment. Compels them to think about the uncomfortable truths the show lays bare about society, about human nature. And those specific moments, like Ollie's story, make the argument undeniable, emotionally resonant. It's testament to the writing, really, how quickly you bond with these characters, only for those bonds to be just shattered.
And then we get to Gi-hun's arc by the end of Season 1. His transformation. He survives. He wins, if you can call it winning.
Big air quotes around wins.
Totally. He walks away rich, yeah, but utterly broken. His victory is hollowed out by all the blood and betrayal. The people he knew, cared for, gone. The narrative shows us he leaves the game fundamentally changed, scarred. It's such an anticlimactic win, deliberately so. Sets the stage for everything after. This isn't a hero's joyous victory. It's the grim survival of a haunted man.
The impact of that ending on the storytelling, you really can't overstate it. It deliberately flips the script on the traditional hero wins narrative.
Yeah, big risk.
Huge risk,
Yeah.
but it paid off massively. Instead of this triumphant finale, we get this deeply melancholic victory. And that choice is crucial. It immediately sets up Gillen's motivation for the next seasons, transforms him from just a desperate player into someone driven by this, well, deeper purpose.
Right.
Maybe vengeance.
Right.
It challenges you, the listener, to think, what does winning actually mean when the human cost is so astronomical, when your success is built on the deaths of others?
Raises big questions about victory itself.
It's exactly. Especially in a narrative about systemic injustice. The storytelling doesn't give easy answers, and that's its strength. Leaves this lasting impression, this real desire to see what Gi-hun does next. His arc shifts from personal survival to this kind of moral imperative, creates a powerful through line for the whole franchise.
So Gi-hun wins the game, that hollow victory, and that ending isn't just the end of Season 1. It's a launch pad, really, for his transformation and the whole expanded world of Season 2.
Absolutely.
Moving into Season 2, you see this immediate, pretty significant narrative shift. Especially with Gi-hun. He comes back, but he's not that desperate player anymore.
No, completely different drive.
This time, he's on a mission to expose the masterminds behind the games. It's like this dark crusade fueled by his trauma. It's a massive pivot for his character.
From survival to resistance.
Exactly. He's not just trying to survive or win. He's actively fighting the system that traumatized him. Turns his personal struggle into this broader confrontation, taking the fight right to the source. And the storytelling shifts to match that new ambition.
And that shift in his arc is fascinating because it fundamentally changes the narrative focus, doesn't it? Storytelling-wise, it moves us beyond the intense, immediate drama of just surviving the games. to this more complex systemic exploration.
Mm-hmm.
Gihon goes from reactive participant to proactive force,
Yeah.
which lets the story just expand its scope dramatically. Instead of only focusing on the psychological toll on one guy,
Right.
the narrative now uses Gihon as our lens to expose the broader, insidious reach of the whole organization.
See behind the curtain.
Right. And that evolution is key to keeping the audience hooked. Offers a new kind of tension, this pursuit of justice. And the chance to dig into the mechanics of this huge criminal enterprise, it feels like a natural progression. Let's just explore the why behind the what.
And this shift really let the narrative start peeling back more layers of this terrifying world. We start seeing behind the scenes, right? Getting glimpses of things like the masked VIPs, the audience. These super wealthy, depraved people funding and watching the games for kicks, treating human lives like disposable entertainment. We also dig into the frontman's past.
Which was quite a reveal.
Shocking context for his role, his own dark path into this organization, shows how even a former winner can get corrupted, co-opted by the system. And crucially, we start to grasp the global scale.
Yeah, that was a big moment.
Hinting the games aren't just in Korea, they're part of this worldwide network, a huge web of exploitation. The storytelling starts pulling back, showing this isn't isolated. It's a deep-rooted international thing with almost infinite resources.
Analyzing how those reveals enrich the narrative. That's crucial for understanding Season 2's ambition.
Yeah.
It transitions this series from like a self-contained survival drama
Concept, yeah.
to this sprawling, complex universe, shadowy mechanics. By showing us the VIPs, the frontman's history, the global reach, the narrative skillfully broadens our whole understanding of the game itself.
Right.
Transforms it from just a deadly competition into this meticulously orchestrated worldwide operation. Which makes you ask, right?
All right.
How do these reveals change our understanding of the game's true nature, its power?
Makes it feel even more terrifying.
It transforms it from isolated events into this almost corporate enterprise of human exploitation, shows its deep roots, its vast power, makes the struggle feel even more impossible, but also gives Gihun new angles to pursue.
That's exactly it. So Season 2 clarifies its focus. Less about the games themselves, though. That threat is always there.
Always lurking.
And much more about the system behind them. It's a deliberate choice, shifting our attention from the immediate visceral tension of playing to the chilling power of the organization running things. And that narrative decision opens up whole new avenues, moves beyond individual desperation to this broader critique of power structures, unseen forces manipulating lives. The focus becomes the architects, not just the victims.
And the implications of that choice are really significant.
Yeah.
By de-emphasizing the gameplay and foregrounding the system, the narrative gets this new kind of depth, intellectual weight, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
It allows for a much deeper dive into the organization's philosophy, its recruitment methods, its global network, its insidious influence. We get to understand not just what happens, but why it happens, and who really profits from all this misery.
Right.
It elevates the series beyond just thrills, pushes it into complex social commentary, makes the audience think about larger societal forces, not just the immediate danger. It's a bold move, expands the show's intellectual reach, demands more from us than just passively watching.
And within that expanded narrative, there's that really standout moment, that bold experiment, the observation arc.
Ah, yes. Very different feel.
Totally. It shows the series willing to push the boundaries of what a game even is. We see these rejected players, people who didn't make the cut for the main games, may be forced into this secondary, equally disturbing competition called Reversal.
Under surveillance.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is Reversal isn't about strength or skill in a game. It's about morality under intense surveillance. The prisoners are watched, judged, without knowing it.
Psychological torture, basically.
Yeah. Trapped, monitored, forced into situations testing their ethics, empathy, willingness to compromise for tiny advantages, often with devastating psychological results. We see them degrade themselves for basics or a chance at freedom. Shows a different, more insidious control.
The narrative purpose of that observation arc is just incredibly rich, isn't it? It introduces this different, arguably more chilling form of psychological torment, moves beyond the direct physical elimination of the main games.
Yeah, it gets under your skin differently.
It forces us to explore the human condition under constant pressure and surveillance from a totally new angle, pushes the boundaries of what the game can be, shows the torment isn't just about survival or death, but also about profound moral compromise, the erosion of integrity when every action is watched.
Highlights the organization's twisted interest.
Exactly. Not just eliminating the weak, but studying, understanding the mechanisms of desperation, ethical decay. What's fascinating is how the storytelling experiments with new forms of games, less about physical survival, more about those subtle pressures leading to moral breakdown.
Expands the definition of game.
Totally. Shows the organization's multifaceted approach to exploitation, its deep, almost academic interest in human nature. It's a truly disturbing insight into their methods.
That is a chilling thought, studying the degradation itself. Okay, now let's jump to the climax, the narrative leap that really took things next level. Season 3.
A finale.
This season gave us a finale that was, yeah, brutal, poetic, incredibly emotional, culminated in a showdown that felt earned and central to it all. Gi-hun's complete transformation.
He goes full anti-hero.
Full anti-hero, done being a pawn. He's not just trying to expose them anymore, like through legal means or whatever. Now he's actively hunting the game's creators, seeking a more direct, maybe even violent justice or vengeance.
Big shift from season 1 Gi-hun.
Huge. He's been pushed to the edge, stripped of almost everything, and now he's pushing back hard, blurring the lines of good in this corrupt world. And the narrative doesn't shy away from showing the cost of that on his soul.
And the narrative implications of that anti-hero turn are huge for the franchise's storytelling. It's a deliberate subversion of the usual hero tropes, right?
Totally.
Traditional heroes often come out of their trials purified, morally upright, victorious, good triumphs over evil, clean cut. But Gi-hun, even though he won the first game, he's irrevocably scarred.
Yeah.
He adopts brutal methods, blurs good and bad in his desperate quest.
That's the subversion.
Yeah. He doesn't just win. He's twisted, hardened by the very system he fights, challenges our whole idea of heroism, the true cost of survival. And connecting this to the bigger picture, it starkly shows the toll the system takes, even on its winners.
Even the survivors are damaged.
Shows how they're fundamentally altered, sometimes becoming a dark reflection of the forces they oppose. It's a bold choice. Deepens the narrative's look at vengeance, justice, the corruption power brings, even to those fighting it.
But maybe the single biggest twist, the most pivotal narrative choice that just blew the universe wide open, came right at the very end of season 3.
Oh yeah, the final scene.
Credits start rolling, and then this shocking cut. Suddenly, not Seoul. We cut to Los Angeles. Bright, sunny LA. Feels familiar, but deeply unsettling in this context.
Disorienting.
It's subtle at first, just a glimpse. Then the familiar symbols appear, a flash of that red envelope, that unsettling invitation. We see Dodakshi, the game that lured Gi-hun, being played on a busy street corner. Instantly recognizable.
Cells.
And then the real reveal. The moment that sent chills down, spines everywhere. Cate Blanchett appears, smiling slightly. In a crimson suit, her eyes just hold this chilling knowingness.
Unmistakable.
The implication is undeniable, crystal clear. The games. They're not just in South Korea anymore. They are truly going global. That single scene redefined everything. Powerful cliffhanger. Promise of a terrifying future.
The power of that narrative choice is just immense. From a storytelling perspective, it's a masterstroke. World building, franchise extension, all in one go.
Right.
It instantly, dramatically broadens the scope. Shows the games aren't local, they're international. A vast, insidious network. That twist is a monumental cliffhanger, a clear declaration of intent for the future.
Sets up the next chapter perfectly.
And cleverly uses a globally recognized face like Cate Blanchett to signal that expansion. Makes the twist even more impactful, lends immediate weight, prestige to the new setting. What's fascinating is how one carefully crafted scene can just completely redefine the franchise's future narrative. Creates immediate anticipation, tons of new possibilities across different cultures.
Transforms the critique, too.
Absolutely. From a localized critique into a global indictment of economic systems, human desperation. Proves the universality of its core themes.
So with that bombshell, that reveal, let's talk about what we know about this new chapter, the U.S. spinoff. Its narrative potential.
Okay.
Now, true, Netflix hadn't made like a formal announcement. They're keeping it quiet.
Understandably.
But honestly, the clues are everywhere. Leaked casting calls, insider reports, buzzing constantly. More than enough fuel for speculation. And one of the biggest pieces of news, the one that makes film buffs sit up.
Fincher?
David Fincher. Reported directorial involvement. Yes, that David Fincher. Mindhunter, Gone Girl, Sus7. That alone tells you something huge about the tone they're aiming for.
Serious pedigree.
This isn't just a cash grab, it feels like an artistic statement. We're also hearing filming might start December 2025 in LA. The pieces are definitely falling into place. Palpable buzz.
And what's really compelling there is thinking about how Fincher's known approach might shape the U.S. version's storytelling, his style. Meticulous detail, stark visuals, shadows, psychological tension.
Yeah, signature Fincher.
And that deep dive into character psychology, the dark underbelly of society. Bringing that to Squid Game could add this whole new layer of psychological depth, a distinctive visual grit. Differentiated while still honoring the original's core themes.
Feel like a good fit.
His involvement suggests this won't be superficial. It'll be carefully crafted, specific artistic vision, aligning perfectly with the franchise's themes of depravity, societal critique. He excels at moral ambiguity, darker human nature, which is exactly Squid Game. Indicates a commitment to a truly impactful, disturbing narrative, not just a flashy copy.
And it's crucial to stress. From everything we know, it's not a remake.
Key distinction.
Very important narrative distinction. Frees it from being a direct copy, not a shot-for-shot retelling of Gihun's story in America. That would likely fall flat, right, given the original status.
Almost impossible to pull off well.
No, it's a spin-off, which immediately opens up tons of new narrative possibilities. We expect new characters, new faces, and crucially, new cultural games.
That's the exciting part.
Think how the original used Korean games like Dodakji, red light, green light. What American or Western games could be twisted like that? Carry the same symbolic weight. Terrifying subversion.
Musical chairs? Hopscotch?
Maybe. Or playground rhymes warped into instruments of death. And the whispers. Maybe celebrity players behind the masks. That's another layer. Commentary on celebrity culture. Fame. Fortune. The narrative potential for satire there is immense.
And the narrative advantages of a spin-off over a remake are huge. Allows for fresh stories, new arcs, different thematic lens, all within that beloved universe.
Right, avoids direct comparison.
Exactly. Avoids trying to clear that impossible bar of replicating the original specific moments, which would just disappoint fans. Instead, it expands the universe, explores new perspectives, keeps creative freedom. Which raises the big question. How will new cultural games translate those core themes?
Desperation, systemic critique.
Yeah. The challenge and the opportunity is finding culturally resonant parallels that hit with the same visceral impact, same thematic depth as the Korean originals, but in an American context. Adapting the core message without losing that biting edge, maybe even deepening the critique by applying it to a different society.
So this leaves us with tons of anticipation, but also, lots of narrative questions around the U.S. version. Will it hit as hard?
Big question.
Can it capture that raw commentary on desperation capitalism that made season 1 so potent? Or will it feel diluted by Hollywood, maybe?
Watered down.
Or is there a risk it just feels like cashing in, losing that crucial thematic bite, glossing over the darker critiques as a real tightrope walk, adapting a cultural phenomenon like this?
The challenge of maintaining the original's impact and depth in a new cultural context, it's significant, no doubt. Success, storytelling-wise, will depend on a few things.
Like what?
First, how well it adapts those core themes, desperation, class struggle, human dignity to an American setting without feeling forced or derivative. Really understanding U.S. pressures, inequalities. Second, the brilliance of the new cultural games. They have to be familiar enough to subvert, distinct enough to feel original, and crucially, resonate with American culture in a chilling way.
Yeah, that's key.
And finally, the strength of the new characters, their arcs. If you can create compelling new characters who embody these struggles with the same raw authenticity as Gihon and the others, it stands a chance of hitting that same level. If it just replicates the surface thrills without the thematic weight, it risks falling short.
But either way.
Either way, like you said, we'll definitely be watching. The franchise has earned that engagement.
Absolutely. Anticipation is sky high. Okay, let's lean into that. What about potential narrative directions? Fan theories swirling around the future, especially with the U.S. spin-off coming.
Oh, there are some good ones.
One intriguing theory. The U.S. version might actually reveal the origin of the games.
The how and why.
Exactly. A foundational narrative expansion. Maybe connecting it to earlier iterations, a shadowy founder, huge world-building reveal. Shifts the narrative from just observing the horror to understanding its genesis.
Adds layers of history, purpose.
Another popular one, and I find this fascinating for character, Gihun makes a cameo as a game breaker.
Ooh, interesting.
A direct link shows his anti-hero arc continuing, actively disrupting the system, maybe dismantling games from inside, giving intel to new players. Powerful continuation for him.
The narrative implications of both are pretty compelling. The origin story theory. Massive world building. Could redefine our understanding of the whole thing. Makes the universe feel more cohesive, sinister.
Right.
A Gihun cameo as game breaker. offers that direct link, a satisfying continuation of his arc, shows individual resistance persisting, compelling from a character angle, offers continuity, maybe a beacon of hope or something darker for the audience to follow, explores his commitment to revenge or justice, keeps the character thread while expanding the universe.
And then there's one really wild theory. Goes way out there, but narratively exciting, especially with the global expansion.
Okay, good.
Some fans speculate the games aren't just for VIP entertainment or profit. What if they're actually recruiting?
Recruiting. For what?
Building an army against the system. Or maybe an even bigger unseen threat. What if all this suffering is a twisted way to identify and recruit people with unique skills, resilience, a certain moral flexibility for some future conflict?
Wow.
A full-blown rebellion arc, where the victims become the foot soldiers, maybe unknowingly, against their creators or a common enemy. Now that would be a radical narrative shift. Large-scale conflict reframes the whole purpose of the games as like a dark training ground.
That rebellion arc theory is particularly fascinating world-building-wise. Transforms the narrative from individual survival and critique into potential large-scale revolution.
Totally different scale.
Completely redefines the stakes. Moves beyond personal vengeance to a global struggle. Liberation. War within the Squid Game universe. Offers the most compelling way for the franchise to evolve beyond its initial premise. Introduces strategic conflict, broader opposition, would need sophisticated storytelling to balance the individual horror with larger machinations, but wow, the potential to unlock new genres, new dynamics.
Shows how engaged fans are.
It really speaks to how invested audiences get actively creating their own narratives to fill gaps, push boundaries.
So if we step back, reflect on Squid Game's journey, it's truly remarkable how fast it transformed. Started as this shocking, singular show, exploded globally,
Instant phenomenon.
leveraged its unique concept, but it quickly evolved into something much bigger. This meticulously crafted, world-building, culture-breaking franchise. Not just isolated events anymore, it's a living universe. Intricate rules, dark history, expanding future, inviting us deeper into its terrifying logic.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, it achieved that growth by skillfully expanding scope, deepening character arcs, broadening thematic resonance beyond just one season.
Scaled up successfully.
It successfully scaled its narrative from a personal story of desperation to complex commentary on systemic injustice, then to a global conspiracy. That ability to keep introducing new layers, characters, dimensions to the conflict while maintaining the core identity, the biting social commentary, that's the mark of successful narrative scaling.
Keeps it fresh.
Exactly. Why it still feels relevant, even as it expands. And truly, the fact we're also invested in its future, debating its path, it really means we're all players now, aren't we, in this unfolding narrative, eagerly waiting for the next move.
It's incredible to think about, isn't it? The enduring power of Squid Game. That unique blend of childhood innocence twisted into brutal, sharp commentary.
It's differently.
Hits you in a way few shows do. Leaves a lasting impression. Makes you question, reflect, look twice at every red envelope.
And that's the lasting impact of its storytelling. Leaves you with this profound unease, but also this deep curiosity about the human condition, the systems shaping it. And as we look towards the American version, a compelling question for you, the listener, to really mull over is, how will the American narrative adapt those core themes? Desperation, capitalism, given its own distinct cultural landscape, its unique economic inequalities,
How will it translate?
and what new games will emerge from that specific context to reflect and critique those themes in a way that resonates just as deeply, just as viscerally as the originals did in Korea. The narrative challenge is immense, but so is the potential for profound social commentary.
Exactly, something to definitely chew on. And with that, this deep dive comes to a close. Thank you for joining us on this, well, wild and unsettling ride.
It certainly was.
Till next time, remember, don't trust the man in the suit.
Yeah.
Never, ever say yes to Didakji.